Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Hoodin Thread coming at you with another stream. Like green. Green's a good color. Lovely. Just like that, one less player. No. Okay, there we go. Ugh. Hiccups. Gotta love them. Wow. Wow. Since he's down there. Scary. Oh god. Oh, anything with that. Wondering why? What? Did I not build my wall? Oh man, so close. Tough one. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Who would have thunk it? Headshot. 130. Do 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 do. Aw, man. Got outplayed. Oh man. Oh no. No. Let's go for a win.
Hello? Oh, hello? There it is. Wow, that was loud. Wondering why. Hello? Does anybody have a mic? Feels bad, man. Hola, ¿cómo está? Vamos, amigo.
Thank you for the follow, Henry Peacock 2.
Just like that, I'm back. Dang, Edward. You trying hard, bro. Running their moms outside. Si se puede. Si se puede.
Thank you for the follow, Eric Cool Dude.
Just like that, I'm back. Trying to get more people.
Yo, why you streamer?
Huh? ¿Qué pasó, amigo? It's a dirty deed, Edward, but it's gotta get done.
You have a Twitch, dude?
Heck yeah, bro. I'm a TTV, by the way. Get lit up from the skies. Feels bad, man. Probably gonna take us out.
You think you can get...
You got this, Yomi. The builds are there. Oh, you missed your shot. Oh, you hit that one. Whoa! Attaboy, Yomi. Mini. Drink the f***ing mini, bro. Attaboy.
I only have 20 seconds.
He's got a whole squad on him. He's gonna get us. Not one. He hits those. $17, $15, $12, $10, $9, $8, $7, $6, $5, $4, $3, $2, and I'm out of the game. Tried, boys.
No salgas, ahí al cero.
Huh?
So what?
Hey.
Hey, let's fill it up with the squads. Or you want to do duos?
Doesn't matter.
I think squads is funner. You get to meet so many interesting people. I almost wanted solos. I came in, I was 3. And then I built a wall. The guy shot a crossbow and apparently he hit me before I built the wall. Crazy. Should have seen it live.
Do you like your ducky keyboard?
Love it. You should have seen another TTV, by the way. Welcome to the stream, TTTV. Sticky stuff. Oh, he's a tryhard. He's got the pickaxe and everything.
Why does everyone use that pickaxe? It's quiet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't make noise. The sickle doesn't make too much noise. I like that. I like that.
The unicorn one doesn't either.
No? I was thinking of getting it, but then I was like, nah, brah. Boop, 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 boop. got this, boys. We got this. Wow, that guy's a pro at landing. No, sticky stuff. No.
Are you good?
Kind of, not really. Now I am. Give me your gun, boy. Give me them toes, boy. Oh. Gotta go get sticky stingy. No. Another buddy. Another buddy down. Oh, you got somebody on you? Oh yeah. Thirst him, thirst him. Oh, be careful. Watch out, watch out. Move, move, move. No respect, right?
Oh my god.
What a silly way to go. Oh! Didn't let me build my wall.
I'm your #1 viewer.
You're my #1 viewer. If everybody,
How are you? Thank
What?
you, Phase Reap.
if everybody would watch me on Twitch, you know how much
Thank you for the
better
host.
I would be? Like how much
Oh,
better
yeah.
off? Instead of
Why
everybody
don't
like
you?
all scattered, because they all want to watch on their own platform. So, like, it doesn't show that I'm growing on each platform, but in general, a lot of people watch me. It's crazy. Edward Hardison is #1 viewer. Hey, anybody else have a mic? You got hosted by how many people? 1,000?
One.
2,000? Oh.
1.
Hey, you gotta start somewhere. Wondering why.
Remember, you remember
why.
me from Random Duos? What? I do not remember you from Random Duos.
You see? That's why you play randomly. You gotta build the people, and then they will come.
Was I nice to you, at least?
You being nice, right, Edward? Oh! Ultimate bird.
I never played Duos.
Okay,
Do
give
you
it
have a mic?
See how this turns out. Definitely went down. Definitely skipped the floor. He's right here, be careful. Hey, for you, buddy. So many bodies in the way.
Oh my god, there's people on me.
So many bodies, so little time. It's alright, you got a revive car. We can pick you up. No! Oh, he didn't even land with us. Where do you even freaking land? 29
Oh
shield.
my God.
He fell down with you. He's thirsty.
Oh, got him.
Another guy. Another guy.
Watch out, watch out. No.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
Oh my god. I'm getting in, I'm getting in. Oh shit.
Oops. Damn it. Premature shot, boys. My bad. Man, that guy lasered me. Well, he's still got a buddy somewhere because he's a sniper at me. A heavy
on me.
sniper. I want that heavy. If he goes down, boys, called it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I'm not really saying all me. TTV AG, but I did it on my account for sure. But and then Mike and you were nice. Oh yeah, yeah. Pick up my revive card. Revive me.
Sucker! Definitely want that.
Go pick up my
Where
card,
at?
John.
Where at? Oh. I heard two fall.
No, it's a glitch, I think.
Nah.
Be right back.
How you gonna be right back?
No, not me.
Oh.
Wow. I come back with at least one gun.
They give you 100 wood and a P1 pistol. It's crazy, right?
Oh, don't do my back on me. No way. Hey, John, you got ammo for all the guns?
Yes. Put it in the drive. I'll be on my way. I'll be on my way.
Ooh, damn, you can stop.
Make sure you pick up the metal.
How about some ammo? The shotgun and the AR. Thank you.
People gliding in. Literally right there.
Whoa. I don't see him.
He went inside. Oh. It's interesting. Wonder why he came all the way over here. There's any rifts?
Nope, we gotta go.
We gotta go, 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 go.
Welcome back, Phase Reaper. Oh, there's some hot chili over here, whatever. Jalapenos.
Freaking Mexican. If I hit that, I won $100. Oh! Why would he go all the way that way? Interesting rotation. That's why he's MLG, I'm not.
I think someone landed on me.
Definitely someone landed on me. Whoa. He's being a low ground warrior.
Hit him for 22 shield.
Oh yeah, he's hurt. god. It's shots, bro. Oh, I'm gonna get storm damage. It's always fun. I'll catch the geyser and I will rotate. God, are you kidding me, bro? Get freaking tagged from behind.
I got a campfire, don't worry, and a mini.
I have minis. I just got freaking tagged from behind. You don't have any bandages or anything?
No, I only have a campfire. Right here? No.
Wondering why? Boy can edit. We got an editor. Well, there's definitely people behind us, so let's keep an eye out for that. Because he wasn't lost in storm, right? Oh man, got a long run. Gotta go right now. Gotta go. Go, rabbit. Did we not pick up that? Oh, well, he didn't even land with us, right? The other kid.
Oh, he did.
Oh, he just backed out?
I'm guessing.
I wonder what the update was about.
I'm probably gonna get. Oh, my game's running smooth now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I think someone just revived someone.
Where?
Yeah, oh, behind us, I think.
Oh,
And
yeah.
It just says Anomalous was rebooted.
Oh, maybe it was a streamer. It's alright. They're gonna die in storm.
Oh shit, they're shooting at me.
Told you. Keep running. Move them feet, boys. Let's get on top of this mountain. And then we'll wreck them from there.
Oh, I see on the right behind me.
Yeah, you should have kept running.
I am running.
There you go. Barkley knows what you're doing.
Hey, you're gonna have to shoot behind me. You're gonna be right on. Start looking back, John. Start looking back.
Barkley's got a mic, he just ain't using it. Who's listening to us?
I know, but they can hear us through the speaker.
Oh. I don't see him. You see him, Barkley? Barkley?
I want to.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you go.
What did I tell you?
You hear me?
Yeah. Oh, they're right there.
Oh, they're.
Oh, how'd that hit? Miss.
Wow, I hit the damn wall.
Come on, Autobots, hit your shot. Okay, I'm way high.
Oh, that blocked me in.
Oh, we'll be going into storm at that point. It's all right. He's got to go all the way around the mountain, boys. Let's go up. We'll catch
do
him
any
on
of y'all have any submachine gun ammo?
No, I barely have any.
tons. Just drop some.
Sweet, thank you.
No, thank you.
Y'all have a lot of shotgun ammo?
They're
Not shotgun,
literally looking at us. They're down there. I can't hit my shots all of a
the one for
sudden.
90?
There's only 2 of them.
No, there's 3 of them.
Ah. Yeah, that there is.
Oh, knocked one. Let's go.
20, 40.
Oh,
No.
they're laser. They're laser.
20 again on the pirate.
I hit the pirate 20.
Knock the pirate.
Nice.
Oh, that one's real low. That one's real low.
Autobots assemble. Take care of them.
Oh, come on.
Got him.
Nice.
Oh, there's more people coming
Yeah,
on top
there's
of us.
people rifting on us.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he came
Got him,
down.
knocked him.
Atta boy. There's somebody coming in a ball.
Got another one.
I think. Darn it.
He left. He left.
Yeah, he left in a ball. Guy coming up with a ATV. I hit him for 24 shield.
Watch out, watch out. He has a heavy. He has a heavy.
It's alright, I got a silence and I hit those. Yeah, they're building high. Ooh. 30 shield.
I got you. I got you.
Alright. Thank you,
Oh,
sir.
watch out.
Oh, D1 Easel's
What?
going down.
The guy was lagging.
Dang.
Hey, you need any minis?
I got some. I got too many. They want to have a sniper war, boys.
One's up under the stairs.
They're lit bad, John. Both of them.
They're building up from underneath. No shield on that guy. Oh, darn it. That was a good game, though. 4-2-7. Gotta love it.
Ah, dang, good game, guys.
Yeah, GG's.
GG's. GG's.
Man, when'd you get 7 kills?
He sniped you with the heavy?
Yeah, but I was gonna trade AR shots with him, hoping that other guy was there, but he wasn't. He was like in the back. What hurts the most was almost winning and being so close to a victory royale. Chris Alvarez, you have to go either to my Facebook page where it says giveaway, my link, and you can enter that way, or you go to my Twitch and type in that and it'll give you the link. So sorry.
Wow, him, I sniped, right?
I can't enter it in the title because the title has a limit in the boom. You know what I'm talking. Oh, El Poeta is just like, no thanks, bro. I want to be on TTVB.
I'm trying to get my KD up, John.
Oh, sure. So sorry about it, man.
You hear me? Hey, the guy just backed out.
Oh yeah, he wanted nothing to do with this TTTV.
But you hear me? I'm just trying to get my KD up.
Purple, are you a jokester? Look at where you marked.
Where
Jokester.
did you mark?
Look at where you marked.
You didn't mark nowhere on mine.
Oh. Yeah, you're a funny guy, Dave Perry. One person?
Yeah, I don't see other people.
Yeah, I missed.
Oh yeah, I see a whole team. They're in the middle.
On, 20 on the guy in the back.
Oh my gosh, really?
Freaking trash, bro. You're freaking trash.
Oh wow, now I'm gonna kill me.
Oh. You deserve to sit there and watch it. Watch the screen tick away. Wow. Nice.
Oh, he's healing up. He's healing up.
Feels bad, man. Check to get there. Oh. Oh, no. Dude, I cannot figure out where they were. I just had no clue. I was just like, okay. Good shots. Don't know where they're at. Thank you for the follow. Tyler Chris, really appreciate it. Hello, does anybody have a mic?
¿Tú hablas? ¿Tú hablas? Sí, tú hablas.
Palabras. ¿Qué para palabras de Dios?
You're speaking English, you idiot.
Oh. Word of the day.
Does he get walking?
Yeah.
She have thunder now.
Yeah. Oh, it's a pickaxe fight and he won.
If I call him, he's winning.
¿Tú
Yeah.
necesitas ayuda?
Oh, yeah, that's English, Mark, for sure.
Well, he was before.
Yeah, because he was asking, hey, does anybody speak English? Because they usually know how to ask that. Or Spanish, whatever. Do 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 do. Jeez, they're running their mom out of here. Okay, now go get my card. 30 seconds. Don't worry about it. You're not gonna get my card. I have 20 seconds.
Okay. How am I supposed to get it if I'm all the way over here?
You should have been a good teammate and went for the card right away. And not go for kills.
Yo necesito ayuda. Beep, 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 boop, boop, boop.
I got 9 more days until they transfer my account.
What is this? Oh. Oh, that's cool.
What is what?
That is neat. They added some skins to stuff. It is quite neat. Okay, you know these two in a party. They like to party. Go on, go on. Hey, Smurf Gabe. Hey, M Smurf. Do you have a mic?
No, man. Yes, sir.
Sweet. Oh, man. That's a tough landing. Where do you want to go, guys? Where do you guys, Smurf people, want to go? Oh, God.
No.
Oh, jeez.
I'm down.
I might fall down. Oh, man. I'm so scared. So scared. Oh, please, 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 please. Let all the bots land there. Not including us. Oh, God, those aren't bots. Oh, man. No. Okay. Ah.
There's somebody down here. Oh, I think I got him.
Oh, there's two.
On me, though.
Oh, he's the one who's done.
Ah. Whoa. In the very top, too. It's an illusion, TV. He got me. Look at that. 3 kills. Who would have thunk it? You got this, Smurf Gabe. I believe in you. There you go. Always pick up your buddy. Always a good. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I had no mats. Whatever.
It happens.
GG's.
GG's. Hey, that kid. That guy with a pump took care of business. Who gave you the money for the $50 giveaway? My sponsor. Hey, hello. Oh, $10 for what? Ah, okay. Look, guys, I got a donation.
What do you get $10 for?
To pay for the $50 giveaway. Ketty Tori, do you have a mic? Konim 21, do you have a mic? Ding a ding dong bong. And just like that, 7 people are watching. It's a glorious day. Okay, I will go to the next floor. Thank you. Is your mommy a sponsor? No. She's a proud supporter though. Yeah, God, I can't see. Why am I breaking the wall? There's a door. Who's blowing us up? Just stop. Rude. There's others. Autobots assemble. Oh. Say ice bank myself. Ice bank myself. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If I died of this.
What happened?
He has a shotgun. Who's holding your dad? Can one of y'all pick up my card? Yay! Just like that, I'm back in the game. That guy's still alive?
Oh my god. One pump.
Wait, what happened?
You can only get revived once.
I don't know. And reboot card collected. Oh, I guess since he picked it up, I'm okay. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Uh-oh. Oh god. Oh, this is the end. For you and me, my friends, this is the end. Oh!
Who's holding your dad? Do you need help? John, you got 6 people watching?
What, on Twitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sir, do you need us young fellas to help?
Who is holding your dad?
Who's holding your dad? John, who is that?
I don't know.
But they're making fun of you, right?
Yeah. Unless it's Fire Chi-Chi's.
Why doesn't he like playing with us anymore?
Who?
So why doesn't he like playing with us anymore?
Oh, I don't know. He just hasn't been... He doesn't like playing the game because apparently they took away stretch red. Now him and his brother can't play the game. Because he can't hit his shot.
So he plays a different game?
I don't know.
So he was playing on stretch? So that's why all these people were hitting their shots?
Yes. And now they can't hit their shots because apparently they can't play on stretch res. That's why a lot of people are leaving Fortnite because they can't play anymore.
That's stupid. I never
And then their
knew
frames
about
per
stretch.
second went down because their PCs aren't as good as ours.
What you call it? I never knew about the stretch res. I never even tried it. Oh wow, there's not the tire over here. Yeah, I never tried stretch. Have you?
Nope. It looked ugly. Who is holding your dad?
I don't know why. Oh, he's making fun of you or what?
No, apparently he's like, they can still play. I don't know who holding your dad is. It's funny though. Fix my stuff. Oh.
Oh. Knocked one.
Yeah, I really want to know who holding your dad is. That's funny. Still one more inside. One more guy.
Oh, he's on me, he's on me. Oh my god. Oh, watch out, he's put a trap. Oh, now I'm gonna die. Come revive me, come revive me. Hold it. Oh.
Oh no. Oh, okay.
No, that's our
He's not
teammate.
shooting in the building.
Got any band-aids?
I got a med kit.
Oh, yeah, they're-
I got my kit.
oh, perfect. Oh, there's two. I got two. I got one already.
Wondering
there's
why?
Two minis right here, Siri.
Those wings are badass. Thank you. Who is holding your mom? That's probably lethal or something. Can I have the 15 ounce? No. You have to enter to win.
Y'all got any shotgun ammo?
You didn't even follow me holding your dad. And he has...
Yeah, I got some.
Oh wait, there's holding your dad and holding your mom. Shiggity Wiggity just cheered 300 bits. Thank you, Shiggity Wiggity. Really appreciate it.
Who needs shotgun ammo?
Oh, mid. Oh, diesel. Who's talking? Is it Siri?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
That's not Siri, that's Sir Impact. Siri.
Oh, come on.
I wonder if that's really my mom. I wonder if that's really mom and dad. Because it says holding your mom and holding your dad. Can I have your social security number? No.
whoever they are, they're funny.
Yeah, and they're just spamming those thumbs. What station do you come out in? Who are they? Buddy. But I would not want to be your dad, sir. Okay, obviously it's not Chimpy Chompy because Chimpy Chompy's messaging. So who is they?
You mean who are they?
Can I have your credit card if they have your social? No. Watch it be La Lethal.
Oh, there's more minis on here.
Interesting. Oh, scary. Man, a whole set of 999 wood. All right, the fight's coming to us, boys. In the middle of the circle. My butthole tells me you are a good player. Okay, is that true? Who is Lalito, dude? Wow. It's probably lethal. Gary,
Oh,
like
no.
your hairline. Now I have 10 people watching me.
Which helps.
Right. If they could do that more often. Blowing up my chat, dude. All in Valvoline. There's people flying in from that direction.
At us or what? Oh
What?
shit, y'all love. Y'all love. Oh, fighting people or what?
I'm not fighting anybody, but he probably sees people. Take the shot, Johnny. Take the shot, Valvoline. They're probably... Oh, they're fighting people.
I actually had a shot. I didn't see you break it. Like, what's that?
How are none of those hitting?
That one for
Chippy
90?
Chop noticed me. Trust me, guys. I'm noticing everything. I'm just playing a game. Look at me. Getting stinky, boys. There's still more people. There was 2 squads of that. Oh, he's in there. Watch out. Got him.
I think that does.
Oh, one more. Whoa. Wow, that guy just spammed dynamite. Woo! Oh, wow, there's more.
No, that's our buddy.
Oh. Sir Impact always just blow his stuff up. Okay, Mark, after you get him, get me, stick me. Stick it. Look at all that beautiful loot. For once, right? What up, Zach? Oh, wow. You don't have like a make it?
Oh, behind me.
Oh, no, don't drop that. Yeah, I saw them.
You saw him, you didn't say nothing.
Well, I saw them late, but yeah. Oh, no, Bloom.
Where are they?
They're in the middle.
Right next to you, right next to you. Ah! Damn.
Was it the one down there?
I didn't even miss that. He's not even looking at you.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
Probably knocked one. Oh, last guy, he's hurt. No shield, Mark. No. Ooh, pick us up, hurry. 14 seconds.
Okay. Where's yours?
To the left, or I don't know. 7 seconds. 5 seconds. Yay! We get to stay in the game. Too bad we're not gonna have any guns.
Where's the closest? Okay.
I don't know. Wait, that's the closest? Oh, yeah. There's nobody there. We get to stay in the game. If Mark doesn't die. Oh, no.
coming, guys. They're coming. They're coming.
Oh god, once we spawn, we gotta haul. Oh god. Oh god, we're gonna die. It don't even matter, we're gonna die.
I got jump pad foot on the floor.
Why am I the last?
Oh!
And he's the only one with a gun.
Let me die.
How's that guy not one hit? Dude, how's this guy not dead? How's that guy not dead? Oh! Wow, 4 health.
Just 4 health.
The guy. Invite.
Alrighty, up. I get water.
Okay. Did you get used to the regular res?
I'm getting used to it.
What
I
about
was 1v1ing a bunch of kids, so
versus Fire Chi-Chi's?
I have no idea.
Who's that kid?
I
Already
don't
up?
think he's online. Hey, I mean like no loot steal now. No loot or kill steal. Are you guys in the Discord?
Oh, I'm a team member.
Oh, rip.
Up to no pill or what?
No, it should be Bill.
Oh.
Where are we going? Tilted. Is John here? Or did he go AFK?
I think he went to the restroom.
Oh, dude, I'm tired.
Where's what you call it? James Bot.
I don't know.
Why is he not in the game though?
I have no idea.
John says because they took off stretcher res.
I mean, I would think that, but he's offline on Discord, so.
Oh. John saying he can't hit his shots anymore.
I've been practicing a lot today, so I can hit my shots. Kinda. Not really. Take back what I just said. I just took fall damage from one of our boats, but it didn't build. This game is awesome. I think only one squad won here, so.
Did y'all not fill?
Hmm?
Did it not fill?
Yeah, I didn't fill for some reason.
It's weird. Would y'all land tilted?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one here.
Who is holding your dad?
What?
they keep putting stuff, man.
John's chat is not open.
The chat is just lit up right now.
I only have ARs, dude. So great.
I have ammo. Where'd y'all land? Tilted? Oh,
Yeah.
Bro, I'm missing all my shots on this guy.
27 blue. Hey, he's no shield. Laser.
I'll get their boys.
There's a bush. Push him. Dude, I cannot hit a shot.
Oh my god. Oh, he's putting
Laser,
his
dude.
right in front of me.
Oh, the ultimate disgrace.
Oh, wow. Oh, yay! Kill him.
Oh, did I actually?
Yeah.
These guys have shotguns, I'm scared. Oh my! I'm really curious as to what's going on right now. Let's go, dude. Get out of my lobby.
Wow. Look at what's just lying right here in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna mock
Hey, now
it.
you can pick up my card.
Oh yeah.
Just lying out there in the middle of nowhere. Oh man. Got one reboot card coming up. One hot in the oven.
AROP.
Man, somebody already got rebooted.
Yep.
That's me.
Mark. There's bandies as well. Let's go, dude.
Oh, you got any AR in there?
Yeah, I got you.
That nothing
swear.
dropped.
I'm not confused. Oh man.
You can go ahead and loot the rest of the tilts because that was all of them, I think.
Oh, do you got any sniper ammo?
Yeah, I'll split. I did not mean to shoot.
Are you streaming right now, Mark?
Yeah.
Oh. Chicken Wiggly's not with you?
No.
Does Mark have my face cam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be happy with what you see, but he's got one.
Alright, I'll check it out.
Oh.
My phone is at 50%. I need to plug it up. It's plugged up.
Oh. Broke my canker more.
Cozy, Cody. Is there already a pre-cozy in Tilted? Is there already like a cozy just chilling?
I don't
I used it. Talking about the one outside of Tilted.
I wasn't sure if there's one inside.
And just like that, I got to you guys. Yay!
GG's.
Oh,
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead. I wanna play solo squads, but I'm a bot, so. I'm bot.
Who's gonna get there first? Mark or me? Mark or me?
You get to again. I don't need it.
Okay, Mark, you can have it.
That's why I just don't need it.
Oh. Oh. If that were Fire GG's, he'd want it right now. Gimme.
It's mine, it's mine!
I want it.
Medicaid, I'll just save the cozy then. I have one trap, two poison dart traps, cozy, and then a launch trap. Alright, we need a good zone.
Oh yeah. Or call outs. Oh, I'm gonna get that.
Damn. Dude, shotgun on you is broken.
On me?
Oh, wait, there's a guy on you?
No. I thought you said shotgun on me is broken. I was like, on me?
I have a cozy for us, so whenever me and you don't. Okay, sounds good that way.
Okay. Almost there, almost there, almost there, almost there, almost there, almost there. I'm here.
Look,
Right
there's
here.
4 supply drop.
In the place?
Moving around in a circle, so it's harder for us to get sniped.
Alright, I'm good.
Freaking next level plays, man. Next level play.
Mm-hmm. Sign us up for phase.
Phase up.
Underwear's down.
Hopefully we get the same lobby. I want a bot lobby.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's 3 of them in here.
Yep. This pickaxe is so nice, dude.
You keep asking me if I'm single. Yes. Catch me on Plenty of Fish.
FarmersOnly.com.
Oh, yeah. Farmers. Oh, no. Now they have another one. It's like Elite Singles.
No, Catholic only.
Catholic? Oh, Catholic only. Catfishonly.com, right? Like where you go get catfished.
That's for like people who are trans and stupid.
Catfish?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Trans, bi, and stupid.
Learn something new every day.
Because if you go on there just because, pretty sure you're gonna get catfished. 2 kids, 3 kids on board. I'm getting shot at.
From where?
I got
west.
hit by a crossbow. Oh my goodness.
Oh my, jeez, these kids are sweating. That's no shield. It's super weak on me.
Say that.
Nice, nice, nice.
6 shield. 42 shield. He has no more shield.
Got one.
Got him.
Full killed.
This guy looks stupid as fuck.
That was embarrassing.
Oh, I did not mean to place that trap. Dude. I'm so mad.
30 shield on that guy.
Alright.
I think he's trying to get to his ball.
I got him.
Nice.
I have a chug, so I should be straight. Pop the chug and hold these menus.
Well, those guys are fighting over there, so we should...
I have a launch pad. If y'all come over to me, someone place the launch pad.
There's a guy way up there.
Y'all come over to me, someone place, or I can place the launch pad.
Where are you at? Oh. I don't know where you are.
Alright. I still don't have a good pump. There's a kid right there. Oh!
Would turn on my TV. Would turn on my TV. What the hell?
I broke the launch pad. Watch out, they have RPGs. I'm coming. I'm coming up, Mark.
Got him.
There's one more.
Is there a good pump? There is. Where is he?
I don't know.
The launch pad up.
He's knocking down the builds. The what?
He's on me.
I'm
Hold
coming.
on. Oh yeah, I see him. have
I fight.
blowing everything up.
Oh my goodness, this kid is running.
Big time.
He does not want to get killed. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh my goodness. This kid is running. He says, no, you're not killing me.
Hey, are any RPG ammo? Oh, there's a lot of loot down here.
How'd y'all turn that on? I'm not listening.
I shouldn't have used that launch pad, but it's
I
whatever.
don't even know how y'all turn that on.
Y'all got RPG ammo?
I have 4.
John, do you have RPG ammo?
The what?
RPG ammo?
Here.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's going on in my room.
You got it? Alright. Alright, let's go, dudes.
It's hit.
Let's get this dub. I have 5 kills.
I have 0.
No, 4.
And, alright, let's do this. I just need to get wood. I have max brick. Doesn't really matter. 2 or something. Alright, it's a 3v3 v2, most likely. Or a 3v4.
Wow. Did you really just do that, Mark?
Do what?
You gave me your crappy ball.
Yeah.
I don't know. You better be glad, John.
Yeah, but I had a 200 ball, and he gave me his with 5 health. Can you turn it off before I get a copyright?
Shot.
That's me. Oh. Kids in retail.
You know what?
He's on the roof. Oh, there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
kid shooting bow as well.
That guy's peeking hard up there.
Kid right behind that tree. You see him building? You know what's up? We hit those in our dream. Oh, we have zone. They have to push us.
They're rotating to that side. Those guys on the hill went down. They're in retail too.
Right in that tree, just so we can. One's right
Dude,
here.
I can't freaking.
Light him up.
Oh, I got.
I cannot snipe with this res. That kid.
I hit him for 100.
He is so mad.
Got him.
That's kill me. Oh, I just got sniped. On me. Oh,
Where are you?
up top.
Up
I'm
top.
really weak. Anyone have meds?
No.
Oh, that's you. The kid's right here.
Oh my god, he's real weak,
Getting from the side.
Did he
Right here.
escape again? 36. Flash.
The banana and the...
Oh, I'm grabbing this RPG. Oh, I don't have any rockets. You have rockets?
You
Knocked
got
one.
one on you.
Finish one.
Do you have rockets, John?
No, I don't.
Oh. Chug, chug.
Oh, the banana's weak, super weak. Knock the banana, last guy.
Popping a chug. Just stay alive.
Oh, got him. Let's go.
Alright, so 2v2. Wait, get. Oh, wait, never mind. Dude, I need rockets. How many rockets do you have?
I don't have any rockets. They're all in my gun.
Okay. Wait, do you have max rocket ammo or shotgun ammo?
Oh, now I have rockets.
Yeah, I got rockets.
Okay. You have health?
I have
Healing?
minis.
Oh,
I also have cozy.
Okay. Let's try to get to zone.
This probably isn't the best idea. Oh, I see.
They're
on
coming
ballers.
with. They're on ballers.
It's gonna be annoying, dude. This dude. I have to get zone. Where'd they go?
They're down here.
His ball's dude.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Watch this. I missed every single pump, dude. Tech 1 blue, 40 blue.
Hey, come on, missing everything.
Breaking him down. He's no shield. I want to trap him.
Watch
I
out.
want to trap him.
Okay.
He killed himself.
Woo! For the win. What? Oh, jeez, I freaking snorted.
Why? What happened?
They hacked my TV. Oh god. Oh. I would have turned my camera and look. I'll get it. Oh man.
What happened? Why did you get that for, John? What is that? Look.
Look at my stream Zach, dude. That's what I was playing with.
Alright.
The whole they playing the cow.
Watch this.
Pulling it up.
Oh.
Why? He was playing the trumpet to count.
What is that?
They hacked my TV. It's a Roku TV.
They're playing. He was playing the trumpet to cows.
That's what I was dealing with while I was playing with you guys.
Or maybe this time we'll get a fill.
Right. Oh, hit my mic. I want to be more. Oh, jeez. I just have the brightest idea. What if I did that for my stream and connected my Roku TV to YouTube?
Yo, Rock 16, what's up? You got a mic, brother?
Connected to my Roku TV.
Oh, look.
Because she just connected to the Wi-Fi.
Let's catch this dub. I like how last game was tilted as well.
Where are we going?
Right.
Retail.
But just intense
We
to
won
the whole
T-Tail
thing.
and John was late. Goes to show how pro we are.
That's right.
Man, we actually got someone this game.
Exactly. But it doesn't have a mic. It sucks.
Got blue.
Sniper. Oh gosh. Oh no, dude. This is not bueno. Oh, okay. I just got a hunting rifle and picked up. He no-scoped me. Okay, I'm done with life. I'm done with life. He no-scoped me twice in a row. He's 20 HP as well, and he's full killing. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god, dude. I'm so tired of this. I get no-scoped. He got the gun too, which makes sense. Somebody got pick up my car.
Who's closest?
Oh, Rox is gone. Just quickly run over there. Mark.
Okay, okay. I got one away.
I have, it's like 50 seconds. Oh, he disconnected. You got this, Mark. He's bad. Oh, that could hit him. That's probably the connector.
TTV, by the way.
John, you're not allowed to say that. Because you're TT.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Ah, we're both just going.
Alright, yeah, my card expires in 12 seconds. Quickly, 10.
I'm trying.
7. 6.
Oh shit, I'm running.
2.
No!
No!
Oh, I got it. Clutch.
Let's
Heal up. My card expires in 40 seconds.
You might be able to
I'm
pick
not.
up John's card.
I don't know. 30 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, that's Mandy.
25 seconds.
Okay, I'm on my way.
Yeah, just spray.
Drive at the front up. I'm on my way.
No, he's
20
he's
seconds.
he's at
White.
tomato.
No. Oh. Yeah. Keep going straight. To yeah.
He's gonna get it, dude. And then he can revive us both. Just stick the buy-in.
Okay, I know, I'm going the other side.
Yeah. Everyone's distracted. Oh, someone got. Oh, TTV beam got go. Let's go, dude.
Lego.
I like that. Let's go. Why?
You getting lit up? Somebody's looking at us?
I'm gonna go grab gun. Or back off.
Oh, that missed.
Alright, I have a good loadout now.
I need help.
Got him.
Thank goodness.
Hey, there's minis right there. I don't know how much.
Oh, John is weak.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got bandage.
You have bandage arm, right?
Yeah.
You have those bandage.
Got 5.
Well, I have a med kit.
Oh, okay.
Where are them? Oh. There's literally only one. Here you go. You can have it.
No, you go.
Go for it. I don't have a good loadout.
Oh shit, he's hitting me. Oh.
He just wants to oh, he's one tap. Dang.
I didn't have anything.
I hit him 100 and he hit me for 125 plus.
That's why I was like, as good as
I can't believe I got you, Phantom.
What?
I can't believe I got your card. Oh, weird.
Freaking MLG.
And at one point the guy was attacked.
I'm about to join one of my friends in just a second.
Oh, everyone and their mom's landing there.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of kids. Oh, that kid. Don't put no. I want that so bad. Give it. No, don't shoot me! Don't kill me! No!
Yeah, I got a kill. Wow. Everyone died fast.
Oh. Phantom left.
Let's play some duos.
Okay.
Man, freaking thing's loud.
Is that better?
What? What's better? No, I can't. Now it's hard to hear you. I can't even hear you.
I know, I lowered it.
Is holding your mom still texting you?
No. Yvonne didn't like that, so she's not saying anything.
And like what?
That Yvonne didn't like that, so she's not saying anything.
Then like what?
Nothing. I'm not the godparent to that thing. What other thing? Well, I didn't ask for the problems, they gave them to me. He's really enjoying the music.
Who was?
Ruda.
You need help?
Yes, I do. He has a shotgun and I do. Nah.
Whoa.
Damn it, dude. There is a shotgun. Oh, you killed him? That was the guy that was trying to kill him.
Bro, where's his...
Oh, he killed
Bro,
himself.
where's his buddy shooting at?
He's in the house. He's over there. He just dropped down. Now you gotta go battling.
Oh my god, you're fucking annoying, kid. Man, it's hard to hear.
I know, they don't stop.
Oh, did you say he... No, I killed him, John.
Oh, really?
I knocked him.
I thought he dynamited himself.
No, I knocked him. Here, I'll drop him after this. Did you get the band-aids?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have a treasure map. And it's not that far. Follow me to the treasure map.
Okay. We'll go get it, and then, oh, I'm right behind you. I'm drinking this.
Got somebody on me.
Okay, I know. Wasn't fun.
Oh, they ran away. But he went towards you.
Yeah, oh, he's reviving his buddy. Let's go. Oh.
Oh, I'm going for the treasure chest. Well, the other guy's just gonna have a pistol. Now I have to wait over here because there's some people over here. Oh yeah, I have to wait. Please don't come this way. Oh, they're getting third party.
Oh my god.
Should have just followed me.
I'll go ahead and get off.
Later. There I am. Look, that's what the people are saying. Victoria's watching. On her phone. I'm on YouTube. Yes. I mean, not right now, right now. But that's me right now. Word of the day. Because he has respect. That's why. That's because you're supposed to be eating for two. Well, smart. Oh, are you kidding me?
Called in.
Outplayed. Oh, yay. I gotta watch him today. No. Don't put the game. Big... Don't put the Yankees. Because then I'm gonna see the score. No, the Yankees are playing the White Sox. What is wrong with my glider? What is wrong with my character? I don't have a boner. Wow, my guy's stuck in there.
I was not unable in this area.
Yvonne didn't like that, so she's quiet.
this one.
Why didn't you ask earlier?
From the thing them call chicks is for kids and we don't play games. Straight business, hey the girl, tiny on the track. Hear what me saying? Balvin, tell them again.
Thank you for the follow, Swift_VP. Really appreciate it. What up? Sexy. That wasn't sexy. A window. It's not Fiesta de la Flor. Fiesta de la Flor. Freaking Mexican. Can't even pronounce it. Trying to hit up some games with you. Hype me, bro. I'm trying to win 25 bucks. Hold on. Oops, come on. Accident. No. You don't drop those. Jeez. We're in there. We started fighting over there. Oh god. I like this. Cool, calm, and collective. Just laying over there. Wow. Amazing. Come on, coconuts. Come on, coconuts. Wow, good luck. No coconuts. Here's one. Playing the circle perfect, right, Mark? Oh. For the window. For the window. To the world. He's grown the most and so close. Yvonne didn't like that, so she said something different. So who is he staring at? What was he looking at?
$95 is on the line.
That it is. 15 left. Woo. Must have been scary for him. He was like, "Get out and get up there." All right. The other guy that shot at me was like, "Yeah, no thanks. I'm done with that one."
That was slow.
What are you talking? Oh my god, I hate playing with you in Fire GG. All you do is talk shit.
$95 is on the line.
Where'd I get sniped from? Where'd I get shot from?
The first thing he does, he covers his thing when. Oh. The first thing he does, he covers his thing when. Why does he hold you like that, Mo? Why does he do that to you, right?
You right, Mark?
Yeah. I gotta see if you're not cheating or anything.
Coming. Is he underneath me? He's obviously somebody over there. Guy in here. Wait it out a little bit. Is it a 2-ticker or is it a 1-ticker still?
Negative. You have to press D for trap.
Mm-hmm.
But you never trap to anyone.
Yeah, I do every once in a while. That there is, my friend.
Mom, $25. Good job winning.
Getting nervous. Ooh. There's somebody in there. Should be somebody in there. Huh. Where'd he go? They're not over here, are they? Whoa. Oh, wow. No. It's Navik. It's Navik. What's your username? It's Navik. No, guess not. Look at all these requests, my friend. There you are. Finger hurts. What up? Zach Bennett, you have to go to my Facebook page.
Yo. And
then on there, it says how to enter for the giveaway. Or you go on my Twitch chat and then put exclamation point giveaway. I don't remember you, Ixnavik.
You don't?
No, it feels bad, man.
Rip. I'm the one who you met in random squad with your other friend, and then I killed you like 2 times afterwards.
Oh, yeah. I remember now. Yeah. Yeah, I reported you that you're a good player. You're gonna get banned for sure. Can't wait till that day.
Oh, yeah.
But so many people send me friend requests. I'm just like, okay, who are you?
Yeah, right. Alright, we're 2.
Okay, that's why you got off, because you suck too. You got all butthurt. Anywhere you want to land.
Let's go for retail.
Let's do it. Okay. Good dog. Ow. I can't win a solos, man. I don't know what's wrong with me. I knew, I was like, somebody's gotta be up there. There has to be somebody up there. And he just pops out. I'm like, wow, really? No, you suck at the game in general, Mark, okay? Mark, a little 5-year-old with a small wiener. There we go. Oh, I got outplayed. He's winning.
Damn, okay.
Got outplayed. I got 3 health. Right?
Do my epic dance.
That's nice. I wish I had that.
Yeah.
I got 3 likes. Oh. You're from Texas, right? It's Navin.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
You're not from Texas? Where you from?
I'm not from Texas. I'm from... Where am I from?
I'm from Texas, so if that helps you feel any better.
Ooh. I'm from...
Well, it's a state that you don't want to mention, so it's a bad state. Wyoming?
No, not Wyoming.
Ah.
From Maryland.
Oh, Atlanta? Georgia?
No, Maryland.
Ah. No clue where that is.
It's like 2 states under New York.
Ah.
It's
There's
the
a lot
small
of people that live there, right? Like,
yeah.
in that little area.
Yeah.
Y'all get some crazy hurricanes, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
We do too where I live. It's scary. But at least the hurricane, you got warning, you know. You got a whole week to get out. You're dumb enough to stay there. That's your problem. Right? And they're like, oh, my whole house got destroyed and all my valuables. Take your valuables.
Guy everywhere I go.
Come on, give me a gun. Okay, I have a gun. Okay, there's a chest up here. Gonna grab it. I have minis on me. Ooh. Coming down the hard way. Oh, you're coming up.
I'm gonna get this vending machine.
Oh, okay. Atta boy. Use it, abuse it. That way as well. Nice. I got a minute for you. Let me drop it. Right there. There you go.
Thank you.
So slow. His buddy is literally picking him up in the middle. I don't know. I don't freaking know anymore. Be careful, they're shooting me. Okay, he just taking the shell out of the way.
Let's see.
Feels bad, man.
It does.
You come to tryhards, go finish them.
Here we go.
We got this. So enthusiastic. What's up, man? What up, Henry Peacock? Oh, he's outside. Oh, never mind. Ooh, better AR. Oh, God! No shield. Oh, but it's here. Got him.
Good job.
Thank you.
How's backup? Are you gonna take this scar?
For me?
Some people hate suppressed scars. I don't know. I don't really know why.
I'm a freaking god with it. It's crazy. I get my shots like nothing.
You just can't spray too much.
Right.
Cat fire. Oh, there's more over here.
More people?
Yeah.
Lovely. Hit him. 33. Nice.
Wow, of course you get.
Feels bad, man. You can have the loot.
I just need mats. That's it. That's all you got.
Oh.
Okay.
From where?
I have no idea.
Oh, from the freaking roof.
I hate that, dude.
Wait. You're gonna be mad at the distance he just hit you. He's way up there. And here comes his buddy in a ball. Gotta love it.
I had no idea too. I just walking around.
I want to pick you up so bad, but that guy in the ball is just waiting.
He just has nothing.
No, I don't need a ball. I was like, I don't need to be a bot right now. No. I have no mats. Feels bad, man. Come on. No, 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 no. All right. Come over here. Stick it, 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 stick it. Got it. I think we got this one. Oh yeah. I think he ran out of crossbow ammo.
Probably.
Okay, yeah, so sweet. Oh yeah, he stopped.
All right, this is easy.
Definitely stopped.
Man, I'm so tired today. I don't
Are
know
you?
what it
I thought you
is.
usually wake up at this time.
I know. Well, usually.
Yeah, see?
But-
I kind of remember. I remember the jokes.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, I'm just.
You sound
I
tired.
went to bed. I went to bed so early last night, like
The other kids
9:30 almost.
the ball. What are your thoughts on no health per kill? I miss it. I really do.
Oh yeah.
I wish they bring it back, but they're not. They're not gonna bring it back. I mean, they might, but it's a bigger no than anything. Okay, my kid just ran away.
Pretend to have hope. Yeah, we should probably just pick the roof.
No, oh.
There's
Oh,
a rift
okay.
over here. Yeah.
I thought there was a rift up there. I was like, oh, my bad. But I definitely do miss it. And then, you know, they did they did arenas, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But not everybody wants to sweat every game.
Exactly.
Like, I can
Every
go and
day.
hang with those guys, but I don't want to go and hang with them every single freaking game.
Yeah,
My brain
exactly.
hurts at the end of that game. I'm like, okay, what do I have to do? Oh my god, you know, I'm like, oh, it's tough.
Exactly. Let's get these hoverboards.
Let's do it. Do it and abuse it. Well, let me get that med kit. Med kits are OP. Doing it the hard way, boys.
Alright, scope ARs are not that bad. I almost messed around with them. But
Yeah, they're actually pretty good. They're really accurate. I like them.
yeah. Let's find someone.
Let's do it. By the way, thanks for hanging out and checking out the channel, Henry. Like your stream, man. Keep it the positive vibes. Appreciate it. Tell my brother Nick 830. Thanks. Everyone says I look like him. I'm like, how? I look like the Mexican Nick 830. I'm like, wow. I wish I could play like him.
I'd take that.
Shields? It's unlooted over here at Tomato Temple. Move, hoverboard.
This sucks. I'm ready to like kill everyone and there's no one.
Nah. Looks like we're going for a win. You're angry from getting hit with the bow. Here comes somebody. They landed up there. There's a shield. No shield on this guy. Ooh, that's tough. Feels bad, man. Oh, you killed him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sweet. That's tough. He lands on us, just gets destroyed.
Got clapped. I just one bumped him.
Wow, 6 kills. Who'd have thunk it? I don't know why I'm playing so good all of a sudden. I eat my weenies in the morning.
Man.
There you go.
Guy on me.
Oh no.
Hit him twice.
I have a hoverboard. Trying to get there. There you go. Got him. I see him. Ooh! Oh, he's behind us. Be careful.
Oh, there's one.
Last guy. 90. No shield on him. Don't you dare. Nice. Atta boy. What's your highest kill game? I dropped the 50 bomb. 50 bomb once. No, I'm just kidding. Not the. Yeah. What? Well, they asked me. I think my highest kill game was like 16 or 17 kills. Nothing crazy. What's your high skill game? Have it?
It's nothing nothing insane. I'd say like 20, 21. I think 21.
Nice.
But I average at least normally like I don't know 6 a game.
Nice. Yeah, there's some days like today, mine's 18. Nice. There's some days like today that I can just God mode, you know, yeah. And then there's days that I'm just like, my goodness, I can't hit a shot to save my life.
Exactly.
Oh, you have shields. Oh, I want to go where you are.
That is the wrong way. Oh crap.
It's alright, there's a ball there.
There's hoverboard.
Shifty.
No, I got hoverboard.
Okay. Where were those minis by chance?
It was a big pot.
Okay, never mind. I'll just send the ball or hang out.
Alright. There's a guy over here.
Boom, 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 boom. In your way. Oh yeah, you sweat. Oh no way, he won't pump. other buddies coming up. Ah.
Wow. Right as I killed him.
Oh, you killed both of them?
I killed both of them, but I was at 7 health. I got into one of their traps.
Darn it. We'll get the next one. Man, unlocking a lot of stuff all of a sudden.
Hold on, I gotta check something.
That used to be my favorite skin.
Hold up. I might have to start going.
Oh, you gonna take off? Oh.
Yeah, what time?
If not, no biggie. I usually end my streams at 10 anyway, so.
Alright, yeah. Well, I'll try and see you tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably be playing with other people as well, so we'll have a full squad.
Sweet.
Alright,
see ya.
later, dude.
Later.
Alright, see you later, Henry Peacock. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for checking out the stream during